Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It is August 27th. Another Trash Talking Tuesday with me, Chris, and of course, Jimmy.
Let's go. What's up?
Oh, hey, just a reminder, and I say this on the recording, but just go make sure you're checking us out on Kick and checking us out on YouTube. Every time we record this, we're running it live on both of those streaming services. So if you want to watch it live, you can watch it live. We're just trying to make it easier for you. I titled this one, Jimmy, "The Crazy Starts Again."
I see.
So, of course, a lot of colleges started back up this week, and it took absolutely zero time for when college starts for the pro-Palestinian radicals to start vandalizing and destroying campus property. Cornell University, they destroyed the glass doors to one of the administration buildings, spray painted graffiti all over the place. And as if they didn't learn their lesson last year, the administration came out and said, well, we're here to protect the rights of all people to their First Amendment rights. Again, and I thought Cornell was supposed to be, it's an Ivy League school. So I thought they were supposed to be fucking smart people.
Should be very prestigious, but no.
But if they don't even know the difference between a First Amendment right and vandalism and destruction of property, then I'm not sure that that's really a college that I would hold up as, the gold standard for universities and colleges. I don't know. It's just weird to me that people who are supposedly so smart don't understand the difference between somebody's First Amendment rights and destroying property and spraying graffiti all over shit.
Yeah, we've clearly seen the. I have an audio issue. Do you have feedback on your end?
Nope.
Oh boy. I don't have anything up and running, so anyway, okay, I think we're good now. But yeah, we've seen the priority shift for these major schools. That they cater to the lowest class or whatever. Everybody, the loudest, whiniest children, babies that are out there, and then that's who they also bring in their school. They don't bring necessarily it's not a merit-based system anymore.
Right.
Everybody's got to have it's the time of equity,
Mm-hmm.
and so they're seeing it.
You're gonna get Ilhan Omar's daughter. You're gonna get Talib's kids. You're gonna get all the victim children who are going to Ivy League schools, but somehow they're still the victims, and their school is probably paid for. They probably got, if not grants, scholarships to go to these Ivy League schools, and that's what they're there to do. They're there to disrupt. They're there to destroy. They're there to make these political statements that are completely stupid arguments to begin with, because you go down and talk to any of them, and half of them can't even tell you where the fuck Israel is on a map.
Yeah, and I'm just pretty sick and tired of it. It's a bunch of children throwing tantrums, and that's just how they should be treated. I don't understand.
Honestly, Jimmy, you think about it, and who do they in turn end up being the professors at these universities? The same people that are out there protesting, because I guarantee you that these groups that are doing it have advisors within the construct of the university who are guiding them through what to do, where to do it. Because there's no way that these kids, first of all, they don't have the funding to continue to buy the stuff, the signs, the spray paint, the tents, the food, all these things that they need to make these encampments. So it's obviously being funded and directed from within. And these kids will end up being professors at these universities, which will continue the cycle of this delusional propaganda that they continue to spew out.
Yeah, well, frankly, I love to see these colleges being shown for what they really are, and that is fairly useless. They're nothing but just like a systematic um, program that doesn't really offer much value to our children, and it does more harm than good. And really, it's promoting our just the continuation of the youth and no actual real responsibility. It just delays that. So we're seeing these children that are reaching adulthood but still acting like children,
Yeah.
and that's what we're seeing kind of in throughout society.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a cycle. And, the hands off, what do they call the last, or, this generation of parents are the hands off parents. Basically, you have to let your kid do whatever the hell they want because you can't infringe on their rights. And, I use the word rights very loosely because they're not really rights. But you can't discipline them. You can't say anything to them. You have to let them express themselves however they want, regardless of how detrimental it is to them. You can't say anything about it because then you're just a horrible, horrible person who doesn't understand.
Well, luckily, I think we're going to continue to see a divide and a shift in the generally liberal type households and the conservative type households that demand responsibility and accountability and raise their children with good moral values. And we're seeing it because we're seeing it throughout the hypocrisy of the left claiming to be the tolerant ones when they're clearly the most intolerant. It's just nothing but a hypocrisy all the way up and down. It's pretty hilarious.
Because you agree with them.
Yeah, well, whatever they say, the claims are just always talking points. They don't have to be true. Nobody, they don't have to hold up to any scrutiny because they're not allowed to be scrutinized. They run away from any scrutiny. They just yell and scream and demand what they say is true without any pushback. And I'm looking forward to these upcoming debates because,
well, it's gonna be debate.
Yeah, that's fine. That's good enough. It's going to take one debate to wipe the floor with them, and well, there'll be luckily there should be a VP debate as well. Also, going to be embarrassing.
I'm not sure that's going to happen. It doesn't sound like. So I don't know how much you've been following that, but like we've said before, Fox News had offered a debate on September 3rd or September 4th. The Harris campaign flat out denied that now. They're not going to do it. The one on September 10th is going to happen. That's on ABC. And the rules for that debate, there was a big push back and forth. Well, I say back and forth. Really, the only people that were arguing about any of the rules were the Democrats. Mm-hmm. Trump already publicly said he'll debate anywhere, anytime, anyhow. And so they finally, I guess, figured that whole thing out. So the September 10th one is going to happen. We won't see another debate unless that one goes horribly wrong for Kamala.
Well, I think that's why we won't see another debate. I don't know. I don't think they'll be very apt to do it again. It's going to go bad, but it's going to go well enough that they'll spin it that it went great, even though it looked terrible. Yeah. They're not going to acknowledge it didn't go well. Just like they didn't acknowledge that all they did was make excuses for Joe Biden. They didn't acknowledge it. That what they did was that just act and made him leave the race. But I think it'll be really bad if Tim Walz doesn't show up for a debate because clearly both Trump and like you said, Trump and Vance are willing to speak anytime, anyhow. It doesn't matter the platform, doesn't matter the rules. I want to talk about the issues that you can't talk about. So if they don't show up, that's just another telling sign that they can't hold to what they're saying, and all they have is nonsense, blowhard talking points.
Yep. Yeah, and you're not going to be able to convince Americans Just like, Kamala now. Kamala. I keep calling her Kamala.
It is Kamala.
Oh, what do I keep calling her? Kamala.
Yeah, it's Kamala. Yeah.
Kamala.
Kamala.
um, you know, they're purposely keeping her away from the media. They're purposely keeping her away from answering any questions from the American people. Her promise before was that she was going to have a sit-down interview before the end of the month. Well, that from Sunday to Monday, that verbiage has changed. So before it was she's going to have a sit-down interview before the end of August. Now, that was Sunday. Monday, now she's going to have one scheduled before the end of August. So big difference there between, yes, I'm going to do one this month, and I'm going to have one scheduled. And apparently they're working on scheduling it, and it looks like that's also going to be with a news anchor from ABC.
They're only shooting themselves in the foot, because the closer and closer they get to the election, the less people I think are going to be willing to change. There's more minds are being made up every day.
Mm-hmm.
I think most people are pretty solidified in their positions, but you're just making yourself look worse and worse and worse if you're not willing to come out and actually speak to any issues. All you're going to do is pray and hope that you're going to win on the hatred of Donald Trump like they did in 2020. And
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing that they had. And guess what? They don't have a pandemic that is
Right.
spinning, eating up the country's resources. And now what you do have is those 4 years to compare each other, and it's not looking good. You didn't have that. All you have was an Obama comparison that people thought they were going to bring back with the Joe Biden a term, and that clearly didn't happen for them in their minds anyway. So,
yeah.
Good luck. You're just gonna the more you run away, the more you're showing your colors, really. So, keep doing it.
Yeah. So did you see the and this kind of ties into, so one, they're kind of putting all their eggs in one basket, right? By her not coming out and doing these things, all her eggs are in the debate basket, because after the debate, she's either going to succeed or fail in the debate. There's not going to be anything after that, because if I'd be willing to bet that if she does shitty in the debate, she's not going to want to debate again. And if she does good in the debate, she's not going to want to debate again, because she doesn't want to give us another opportunity for her to look like an idiot.
Yeah.
So they're putting all their eggs in one basket. And what I hope, and it's been pretty prevalent today throughout all of the mainstream media sources today, is the Mark Zuckerberg letter that was released today, basically saying, yeah, the Biden-Harris administration pressured us to remove stories on COVID and to remove stories on Hunter Biden's laptop. We did it. We shouldn't have done it, but we did. But we did it because we were pressured by the federal government, the current administration, to do it. So I don't look at Mark Zuckerberg as a hero for coming out 3 years later and telling the truth, a truth that we already knew.
Yeah, but I do find it very interesting, man. And I'm loving it. I think, and some people are speculating that he's doing it out of like a self-preservation or some kind of a, tactic to kind of just protect himself, because he kind of maybe sees the writing on the wall. But I honestly think he's been on a steady dose of red pills. I think this, over the last several maybe months or years even, and now he's getting into fitness and jujitsu, and that the community that brings. He's in the jujitsu community, which is going to be a solidly red, predominantly community. He hangs out a lot and does a bunch of sit downs with Lex Friedman, just a free thinker, not necessarily a right or left guy. But these are the very centrist type people that are still so far away from these crazy progressive left wing people, and that's where he was. But anybody kind of swinging back to the center, just like the RFK thing.
Mhm.
All of these people are slowly kind of creeping back to and meeting the right, the conservatives, kind of where we all are. We're all just kind of hanging out in the center now, while this left just gets further and further and further, and bringing people like Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, who was claimed to be a Democrat voter his whole life, never voted for a Republican, and now he's basically completely on board. All these people are coming on board and uniting. That's what I just love to see, the unification of people, that they don't have to agree on everything, but they can work together, and it's much easier. You feel like you can have a conversation within that group, that community, and leave these crazy lunatic leftists just
Yeah.
to walk themselves off the deep end and see you later. That's what I'm seeing happen. That's what I think is happening with the Zuckerberg stuff.
Yeah. And again, I don't tout him as a hero because he testified in front of Congress in 2022, and he could have very well said the same thing back then. He chose not to. But I think that lends credence to he sees the writing on the wall, and he knows that Trump is probably going to win the election, and so he has to do something to curry some favor going forward, because let's face it, social media and the mainstream media have not been friendly to Donald Trump. They see that writing on the wall. I don't know. He also said, well, the bigger thing is he also said he was not going to make any political donations in this election.
Right. Yeah, I mean, but that's just like The Rock did the same thing. The Rock backed off of their clear support. I think these people were living in this vacuum, in this echo chamber in Silicon Valley and Southern California or whatever, and that's why they said the things they did, and that's the why they acted the way they acted, and somehow they branched out, and I think that's what Zuckerberg has done. He's gotten out of that echo chamber. And yeah, I think even as recent as 2022, like you said, he was there. He was pushing those things. And I think his mentality is actually shifting. And you can kind of see it. You can see it in him, the way he acts. And so we'll see. I mean, I think the free speech that Elon Musk is promoting and the way he's acting is probably making an impression. I think he probably has a lot of respect for somebody like Elon Musk. And the things that he says are very straightforward and hard to argue. You can tell the guy's a very brilliant guy. It's funny when you see people shout down or try to claim that Elon Musk or Jordan Peterson are idiots and they're morons. Like, hello, man. I may not agree with them on everything, and I don't have to. But to not recognize that they're brilliant people in their respective fields and their ability to conduct logic far supersedes my own. So I'm going to be willing to listen to what they have to say at least, and see if it makes sense to me. These people that are just so closed off to anything. They're not open-minded at all.
Yeah. So the other big thing that happened today, and again, here's where you have to really pay attention to how the media is spinning it. So Jack Smith, the special counsel out of D.C., who filed the indictment and charges, the January 6th charges against Trump, that case was kind of put on hold because the Supreme Court came out at the end of last year and said, hey, some of the charges that you charge some of these people with, you incorrectly used that charge. So Jack Smith had to take, the Supreme Court basically said, you need to take this indictment back to another grand jury and have that grand jury look at it after you've modified it to fit with what our decision is here, based on the outcome of this decision, and see. So what he did was he took it back to another grand jury, and that grand jury came back with the same indictments on Trump. So it came back today. But the media is spinning Jack Smith comes out with new indictments on Trump. It's not new indictments. It's the same indictment. It's called a superseding indictment, which means it's the same exact thing. but modified to an extent, and in this case, actually modified less than the original indictment that this was. So basically, all four of the charges are still the same, which you knew that that's what he was going to push for. And again, getting an indictment from a grand jury is probably the easiest thing in our legal system. The defense has no ability to go there and defend anything to the grand jury. It's just the prosecutor going up there and saying whatever the hell he wants to say. So this is not a new indictment. These are not new charges. This is the same indictment. The only thing that changed was he actually removed 10 pages with names of other people in the indictment. But the charges are the same exact charges, and this is not a new indictment. So again, don't let the mainstream media, try to convince you that oh my God, there's a whole new set of charges. No, it's the same exact thing. It's the same exact indictment. It's just modified and looked at by a new grand jury based on the SCOTUS decision last year of Jack Smith's application of one particular law.
Gotcha. And so does Trump have court either hearings or sentencing or anything like that in late September?
So the civil case, the hush money case in New York, that was postponed. It may be at the end of September.
Yeah, I thought he had something to do legal wise in September that I'm a little bit concerned about, because
I wouldn't be surprised if that doesn't get pushed again as well. Yeah. So, but again, that's a civil case, and so the confusion a lot of people have is that a civil, it's not a conviction. There's not a guilty or innocent in a civil case. There's liable or not liable, because a civil case is all about money. It's all about financial damages for, a defamation or something like that. So it's not a felony conviction. It's not a guilt. Like I said, it's not a guilty or not guilty thing. It is are you liable or are you not liable? Which is why the bar is so much lower, which is why they push the civil cases, because the bar is so low.
Well, that's why people are still calling that one celebrity just came out and called Trump an adjudicated rapist.
Yeah.
But it's for that reason, and that's the reason why they push those through, so that some kook judge can apply that label and hold somebody liable for something that they don't have to prove.
Right.
And then now that becomes the narrative.
Right. Yeah. But if you hear people say, "Oh, he was convicted," no, he wasn't convicted. He was found liable. And that's all there is to it. I mean, people get found liable for shit all the time. Businesses, government agencies, private people. It doesn't mean that they didn't do it. It doesn't mean that they weren't rightly found, but there's a reason why they didn't go after criminal charges, because there was zero evidence there was zero evidence to convict in a criminal court, basically.
Sure.
So anyway, hey, we just wanted to give you guys a quick rundown of, some updated things from our Friday, Saturday show. Just be mindful of, I had to go online. Of course, you know me, I say it all the time. I troll all these people online, and my home state newspaper posted an article that said, Jack Smith files gets new indictments on Donald Trump. And of course I had to go right on their page and post on there, print the news, not your political agenda. It's not new charges. It's, this is what it is. So don't be stupid. So be mindful of that, and don't be afraid to speak out on stuff like that on social media, because they're sure as hell not worried about posting, ridiculous shit and untrue stuff. And quite frankly, it sounds to me like, this newspaper, and like I said, it's a local small town newspaper where I grew up. It's an attempt at election interference because they're trying to bend your thought process in, as we approach the election, that these things are new and, oh my God, there's more indictments and he's going to be convicted again. And how can we vote for somebody who's been convicted of all these heinous things? And no, it's bullshit. So you got to point out bullshit when you see it. So I encourage you to do it. But like I was saying, I will be back Friday to do our Friday night show. Jimmy will not be. Jimmy's going on an extended vacation. I say extended. He's going on a 4-day weekend vacation.
Yeah, mini vacation. Gonna hang out in the woods for a little bit.
Not a bad thing.
Yeah. In preparation, right? In preparation for a real hanging out in the woods coming up.
Make sure you can bring your bug spray on this one.
Yeah, true.
All right. Hey, thanks for joining us, and I will be back on Friday. I hope you all have a great rest of the week. Have a good one.
See ya.